Portimao for the next weekend in the F4 Spanish Championship 2025. Well, this season has already taken a few twists and turns as the three great combatants continue to share the spoils. Thomas Straven, Jan Bostrovsky, and of course, René Lammers. It's been very much a three-way title fight already in the opening weekends of the championship, but coming to the roller coaster here at Portimao, things could get even more spicy. Thomas Straven has opened up his campaign with a pole position charge alongside him, his Griffincourt teammate Jan Bostrovsky, but Ian Eichmans and Nicolas Schaufler have come straight up to the far part of the course, and that's an important one, particularly for the young Austrian Nicolas Schaufler. We always used to know him for his incredible speed in the karting world, despite his diminutive frame. But this is the first real weekend that Nicolas Schaufler has been able to put his Red Bull sponsored car right up to the sharp end of the field. Juan Cota is alongside another Red Bull youngster. They all seem to be going well in Portimao in all the formulas. Chris Alfagali, the Lebanese driver, will be starting P6 alongside the king of Valencia, Juan Cota. Then René Lammers all the way down in 7th on the grid alongside Andrej Petrovic. Could be an interesting one then for René Lammers, who's got to do a lot of hard work to move his way back through the field. We can see just how busy the starting grid is as the mechanics are all there waiting to welcome the cars onto the grid. And for Thomas Straven and Jan Bostrovsky, their rivalry is going to be an interesting one. For René Lammers, he is all about trying to score as many wins as possible after having 3 of them in a row now taken off him. Let's see Alex Garcia down on the starting grid and what the talk of the F4 Spanish paddock is. It'll be an interesting one to see how things continue. After the hype of the Euro Cup 3 race, into F4 Spain we go, Alex, and it'll be fascinating to see if it's going to be Thomas Straven or Jan Bostrovsky who gets the initial kickoff.
And I think I'm having a bit of a deja vu because I'm seeing a lot of temperature, I'm seeing the Campos at the front of the grid, and I'm seeing and hearing a lot of talk about tire management. So we know that this is, of course, very, very similar from Euro Cup 3 to Formula 4 in at least these elements. I would expect a very, very good race as well, a very exciting race, surely. All I'm doing is crossing my fingers, hopefully for a little bit less of a presence of a safety car, which perhaps robbed us of a bit more action in Euro Cup 3. But if it's half as good as that was, I think we're going to have a good old time. That said, I'm going to expect maybe a good showing from René Lammers because he's starting from the 4th row of the grid. Of course, he's the championship leader, and I'm very sure that he wants to prove that he's ready to take it back to the big guys. I was talking to his father, Jan, earlier around lunchtime, and he was mentioning, well, you know, let's see how it goes. He was not particularly worried, but, you know, he was cautious on the expectations of a race that is going to be particularly tricky. One element that I add to you from Euro Cup 3, you probably can see it on my hair, the wind has picked up, and that in a track like Portimao, especially in corners like the last one, could be a new challenge for the drivers.
There's something to be said for a commentary box, Alex. It's very, very good on the old Barnet Fair. Fair play to you. Let's talk a little bit about rookies, because in Spanish F4 it's not quite the same plethora of a number of rookies up at the front end of the field as there is in Euro Cup 3, for example. So a significant performance from a rookie can really make or break things in this particular championship. Ian Eichmans there in 3rd position on the grid, Nicolas Schaufler, Chris Alfagali, Noah Montero and Vivek Kanthan all towards the sharp end. They're the ones that are really making the big impact. We've got a lot of drivers though in this field who are here for a second campaign or have raced in a different championship in F4 before coming over to the Spanish championship. When you've got the likes of Cota, Lammers, Tai, Franco, Hudson Schwartz, Alfio Spina, Gino Trappa, along with Straven and Bostrovsky, all to race against, it's important for the rookies to make a big impact. And as the 5-minute board goes up, it's kudos to Ian, to Niklas, and to Chris Alfagali, who's shown a little bit of promise. But now this is where he really starts to up the ante.
I think racing in Formula 4 is, as a rookie, it's maybe a little bit trickier than in Euro Cup 3, in the sense that these drivers come straight from karting, many of them, the rookies that is, and that switch or that jump from karting to car racing is of course a bigger jump than it is from Formula 4 to essentially a Formula Regional machine. So in that sense, seeing those rookies being able to be almost at the same pace, at the same speed over one lap over a race distance as the more experienced drivers, to me that is just as impressive as what we're seeing in Euro Cup 3. So in that sense, I'm looking forward to see how they develop during the season, because we've seen that when a rookie is promising, usually towards the last third or maybe second half of the season, they tend to be able to fight for wins. So Ian Eggmans, Niklas Schnaufler, of course Christoph Fegali as well, they could be developing little by little, you know, stepping on the podium here and there, and maybe by the second half of the season they could start to become a threat to the big guys if they manage to get to grips with the category, which I think they will, because they've been pretty competitive so far. They lack maybe the consistency to be there throughout the whole weekend, throughout the whole season, but they're quick, and that is very, very promising for them.
Yeah, it's a really good point you mentioned in particular as well about the rookie drivers stepping out of karting. You've got to remember that the scale of everything has dramatically changed for them. I mean, it used to take about 20 minutes to do a track walk. Now it takes just over an hour to do a track walk. In these searing temperatures and the very difficult style of driving, it's almost like learning how to race all over again when you make the switch up. So the fact that we've got the likes of Eichmanns, Schaufer and El Fegali there in the top 6, Montero and Canthan in the top 10, real indicative of the kind of talent that they're going to be continuing to showcase. 3-minute board goes up in the air. I was expecting a little bit more this time from Renaud Franco. 13th on the grid for him in qualifying, not quite where he wanted to be. Nathan Tye for Rodin has actually really struggled to acquit himself in that second season, the British driver. For whatever reason, the Rodin team just haven't quite come fighting out of the blocks in the way that they would have liked to. Of course, admittedly, they've got a lot of rookies in their team this year, including Kyoho Lee, the Korean, and Emma Felbermeyer, fresh back from her escapades in the F1 Academy. But even so, for a team like Rodin, they would really have been hoping to take a few more chips out of the Campos and MP bandwagon.
I think this pretty much shows the high level of the championship, because if a team like Rodin comes to Formula 4 Spanish Championship and they struggle to be at the top, it means the level is very high, for sure. That said, it is also true that rookies are never going to perhaps be able to push the team forward as much. If you have a big team, you need at least 1 or 2 drivers who have the experience to give you the data that you need, which probably Rodin maybe is missing that a little bit. But I also believe that they've been struggling specifically with qualifying pace. They've often been quick on race pace. We know that overtaking in Formula 4 in single seaters more than anything is complex. Not all tracks allow it as easily. This could be a place where Nathan Tye could mount a recovery race if he's comfortable enough. But we know that they tend to struggle on qualifying. And in the races, it's a different story. But as you know, if you're starting from far behind, then you have a lot more work to do. And if you have a lot more work to do, you probably destroy your tires by the time that you get to a decent position. So, you know, it's all a bit of a snowball effect, even though I don't think any snowball could survive in this searing heat. But it is pretty much how it goes. And they do need to step up their game on Saturdays on qualifying sessions, because they're missing that. Definitely they're missing that.
You're right, no snowball could last longer than about 180 seconds. Interesting that you point out about the difficulties of Rodin in a competitive competition like this. We saw, didn't we, in the opening race weekend, that the Santalog team that had some support from the Jamaican sensation himself, Alex Powell, in the very first weekend, they realized just how little pace they had and pulled themselves from the championship after just one race. It is not easy to cope with the might of MP and Campos. So for the teams that are knocking on the door of them and trying to mount an attack, the likes of Drivex, the likes of T-Code by Amtog, and of course the Rodin teams, they have got so much hard work to do if they want to take some points off these guys. Well, it will be fascinating to see what happens over the course of this first race. Massive thanks to you, Alex Garcia. We'll come back to you mid-race if we need to. And the reason we'll need to mid-race is if there's been some drama or catastrophe, which does tend to happen frequently in the F4 Spanish Championship. So no doubt we'll be seeing you shortly. Green lights on the timing gantry. Off we go for the formation lap. And Thomas Strauven and Jan Pestrovsky have certainly made a very clean start of it. But then all of the drivers around them are going to be wanting to launch forward to the first corner and take a very solid start to this race. A lot can happen in this particular paddock, and it usually does. So we're in for a very exciting duel, and all of the competitors will want to give themselves plenty of opportunities to move forward. But there is still so much to do, and so much that will take a lot of beating at the front end of this field. F4 Spanish Championship, round 3, Portimao, race 1, and we're under starters' orders very shortly indeed as the competitors are getting themselves ready for the action. It will be an exciting one for all of the contenders, that is for sure. But now we are ready to see what will happen around the course. It's definitely going to be an exciting one that the contenders now want to see who's going to get the best of the mix. So as the contenders are running in close proximity, we'll see how it all progresses for them. Thomas Strauven, pole position. Jan Piotrowski, second. Ian Eichmans and Nicholas Schaufler, third and fourth. Then Juan Cota and Chris El Fagali. Then it is René Lammers and Andrei Petrovic from Noah Montero, the Portuguese, on home soil, alongside the American Vivek Canton. Then Nathan Tai and Matas Reiber from Renault Frankfurt and Gino Trappa. Hudson Schwartz and Alfio Spina from Miki Costa and Lorenzo Campos of Angola. Then Santino Panetta and Alexander Jacobi from Francisco Monarca and Sasha Van Padbosch. Filippo Fiorentino and Viktor Dobrzhansky, Nasha Tunyon and Alexander Bogunovic. Then Kyoho Lee and Stepan Suslov, Emma Felbermeyer, Caden Higgins, Daniel Dalakian, and then it is Rodriguez at the back of the field along with Santiago Bastarica. So all of the contenders hoping for a big charge forward. But on the start, it'll all come down to who's got the patience and who's got the presence of will to hold it through that first corner. You don't want to make too many big gambles on this first lap. As we say so many times in racing, you can't win on lap one, but you can definitely lose. 30 degrees Celsius air temperature here, pushing towards 31, about 49 degrees Celsius of track temperature. This is going to be absolutely cooking these tyres over the course of 30 minutes, plus the additional lap. So it all comes down to patience. Schaufler and El Fagali pull themselves to the left side of the circuit as you see it, to the right of the circuit as they see it. And then Petrovic, Canton, and Matas Reiber do likewise. This is going to be very tricky to predict who's going to get the job done here. Will it be the Belgian, the Pole, or will it even be the Dutchman? Of the top three in the championship, René Lammers has got a lot of work to do from 7th on the grid. But if anyone in this field can do it, it's going to be René Lammers. But watch for the rookies too, the Belgian Ian Eichmans and the Austrian Nicholas Schaufler. And keep an eye on the King of Valencia, Juan Cota, along with the Lebanese talent for Red Bull, Chris El Fagali in the Drivex. A lot of factors in this race, a lot of variables, just the way we like it in the F4 Spanish Championship. At the Autodromo Internacional Algarve, round 3, race 1, 30 minutes plus 1 lap, about to get underway as the lights come on here at the Algarve. Let's race at Portimao! And it's a good start from Strauven, not a bad one from Piotrowski, but it's a better one from Ian Eichmans. He's going to pull level and get in front. Ian Eichmans into second place. It's a Belgian 1-2 as the drivers work their way to the first corner. It's okay for everybody else as they mix their way through the opening corner. Will everybody get through without incident? So far, it's Belgium 1 and Belgium 2 as Strauven in front of Eichmans. Then Piotrowski, Schaufler, Cota, Petrovic and El Fagali, who's dropped back. So too has René Lammers. They both lost the place to the hard-charging Andrei Petrovic, who is up 2 places to P6. Then it's Montero, Franco, Canton, Reiber and Tai. Vivek Canton in trouble, losing some positions there. But a fantastic start as they all work their way through the hairpin. Couple of drivers having to run out wide. Is everybody going to get through without drama? Just about. Looks as though we managed to, as Eichmans is already under pressure from the pole. Piotrowski trying to work his way back into second place. Up the climb. And so far, Strauven has the upper hand. And the Belgian, who is very much a part of this championship fight, wants to keep the ante favourable to him. But it's not been easy to balance things for the time being. Everyone still wants a piece of the action. But it will be fascinating to see who gets the run of the draw. And still, the contenders are giving us plenty of excitement as round the far side. Big lockups as Eichmans holds his nerve. And Schaufler right round the outside of Piotrowski into third position from the Austrian. Can he hold it on the inside line? Piotrowski still trying to keep the car to the far side. Schaufler is still with him as they go side by side out to the final corner. They could be banging wheels here. Schaufler trying to stay with him, but Piotrowski gives him enough room. Schaufler's going to stay with him. There's going to be side draft, but watch for Juan Cota. He's going to have the slipstream on both men. He storms out to the pit wall, and they're going to be 3 wide behind Eichmans. And Juan Cota surely is going to get past both men here. He's going to have to go long to the inside. No, he only makes it past Schaufler. But what a great charge forward from the Spaniard. Juan Cota very nearly made that 2 moves in 1. Wow, a great start then in the F4 Spanish Championship, and we are staying green for the moment as the drivers are still giving us plenty to discuss. But it's Strauven Eichmanns, Petrovsky, Kota, Schaufler and René Lammers, who is up to P6 now, having worked his way forward. So Schaufler is going to be under big pressure here from the Dutchman in seconds. René Lammers really ramping up the attack. Everybody else trying to keep it together after the run at Aragon in Alcañiz and at the Seguridad de Navarra in Los Arcos. Here at the Algarve, it is already fever pitch racing in the F4 Spanish Championship as Eichmanns tries desperately to get away from Petrovsky. Kota, Schaufler, Lammers and Petrovic already having a good fight. Looks like we're going wheel to wheel further back as a couple of drivers get a little bit too close to each other. It's the 5 that ran off the road. That's Costa as he goes with the TC of Alfio Spina, the Thibaut Courtois racing machine, named after the former Belgian national goalkeeper who owns the franchise. Well, a fabulous battle so far. We know that there's a full 7 points only in the championship between René Lammers and the Belgian Thomas Strauven. But after getting the points for pole position, Thomas Strauven has got that gap down to just 5 points now. And with Strauven in the lead and Lammers in P6, it could well be the Belgian that takes advantage of things and takes the lead of the championship. Double winner, Lammers at Navarra, although of course for his money, he will have taken a full 3 wins more than that in his season so far. And Lammers, we can see, is now in front of Nicolas Schaufler as down towards the apex for turn 1. Big slide there and a run wide from Petrovic. Renault Franco trying to get on the inside of him, and Alpha Gali thought he had momentum to get through on the inside of the Dutchman. Renault Franco shuts his door in his face, and Vivek Kanthan is going to go side by side with Nathan Ty as they duel over the last point, with Petrovic still trying to keep his car in a straight line. Amazing racing so far in the F4 Spanish Championship. This Portimao circuit really gives us plenty to get excited about as running off the turn. Both drivers going off the road there. In behind Alpha Gali, that's Petrovic and Kanthan, I do believe. Nathan Ty, then Trapper, Montero, Schwartz, Reiber, Panetta, Spina, Costa, Jacobi, Campos and Van Bosch. With all of the drivers still circulating, although there is an incident or two that is already up for investigation. Filippo Fiorentino has recovered after a spin, but there's no need for a safety car. So the incident in turn 11 is going to be investigated between Hudson Schwartz and Noah Montero. And there's another investigation at turn 13 to be investigated after the race. That is between the 25. So that is going to be Francisco Manarca and Filippo Fiorentino, the man who is now down at the back of the field. So those 2 incidents will be investigated post-race. But certainly for the moment, there's no need to think about it for this man, Thomas Strauven, out front. Eichmanns in second, his best race of the season so far. He's had a second place this year at Aragon, but he also had a third at Seguridad de Navarra. He's 7th in the championship. And of course, in the F4 Spanish Championship Rookie Points Prize, he is also looking very strong indeed, having had a fantastic start to the season already. So just one guest driver in the field this time round, and that is the American driver Andre Rodriguez. So really exciting run to continue the battles up on the far side. But there's your leader, Thomas Strauven, in front of Ian Eichmanns, then Petrovsky. 4th place for Kota, Lammers, Schaufler, Franco and El Fagali. Then Petrovic and Vivek Kanthan to round out the top 10. 25 points on offer for this race. The shorter race later in the weekend will give us 18 for the winner. But Ian Eichmanns is starting yet again to struggle for tyre management. That's the difference between a rookie and a driver who knows this F4 car well. They know when the tyres are going to start to struggle. They know how far they can stretch it better than the rookies do. And Eichmanns in second place is giving it as much as he possibly can. But tyre management is still a tough thing to get used to when you go from karting to cars. It's a very different language of tyre management. And so Jan Petrovsky, who has the fastest lap of the race so far, by the way, a 1:46.833, only a few thousandths of a second quicker than Ian Eichmanns, the fastest rookie. But very tight up at the sharp end of the field, and still plenty to discuss over this race. Petrovsky once again trying to get his move here on Ian Eichmanns. Then Kota, Lammers, Schaufler. And down the main straight, you can see in the reflection down the pit straight just how fast these cars can go. Lovely shot. Eichmann's ahead of Ostrovsky. Kota, Lammers, Schaufler, then Franco Elfagali, Petrovic, and the American driver Vivek Kanthan in front of Nathan Tai and Gino Trappa. Montero, Reiber, Schwartz, Spina, Costa, and Santino Panetta. Up through the crest at the end of the first sector. The first sector is very short on this part of the circuit, but sectors 2 and 3 are quite long by comparison. It's a short sector, but it takes a long time to go through. On the inside line, there's the move. Ostrovsky gets the run on Eichmann's. He's been building up to it. And now the pole gets into second place. Great move from Jan Ostrovsky. Gets through on the Belgian Eichmann's, and now Eichmann's is going to have to try and respond to that, and I would do it fairly quickly because Ostrovsky has got great speed in that car. He will want to pull away fairly quickly. Do not expect this to be an easy run for Jan Ostrovsky, but don't expect him to back down from the charge to go after Straubing either. So as they continue their big charge, it's going to be a very exciting continuation for Straubing, Ostrovsky, Eichmann's, Kota, Lammers, Schaufler, and then Franco ahead of Elfagali, Petrovic, and Vivek Kanthan. So still the contenders hoping that this race is going to have a pause at some point because it will just give them a little bit of a breather in terms of the tyres. But so far, no joy on that score. It's been a safety carless F4 race, which doesn't happen too often. Over the top. And so the continuation over the top of the pit wall. We can see the Technica crew there on the pit wall at the moment as they watch their drivers, Nasho Tunion and Viktor Dobzhansky. Still battling away for position. Down to the first corner, we're going to see a change of position. That's Nathan Tai just about sorting it out past Vivek Kanthan. Into 10th place, the British driver goes. There's not many British talents in this part of the world, but Nathan Tai still showing everybody what he's capable of. The man who captained the ship at Sodicar, the French squad, for so long, and has now been able to transfer that captaincy into Spanish F4. Oh, and off the road has gone the 62. That's the Monlau car. Well, that's game over for Andre Rodriguez, the guest driver. So Andre Rodriguez has buried that in the gravel trap. So hard to make an impression when you're not here full time. 10 minutes in, is that going to be our first safety car? Depends on how far in he's gone and where on the circuit he has gone. As Juan Kota and René Lammers are now closing up. Safety car is out. Well, this is a good opportunity for René Lammers to get himself right onto the toe of Juan Kota and hit the reset button. Schaufler is 10th, Franco 7th from Elfagali, Petrovic and Nathan Tai. Oh dear. Unfortunate, Andre. Never easy to come in as a wild card over the course of the race proceedings. Wild cards, of course, that come in mid-season. Guest drivers ineligible to score points. But he had an opportunity there to showcase at least what he could do. One of only 4 drivers on the grid this year from the United States, Hudson Schwartz and Vivek Kanthan, the 2 full-timers. We did have Alex Powell in the first round of the championship, but after the first race, he withdrew, and then his 2 Greek teammates, Jean-Paul and Philippe Carras, also pulled out. But a very disappointing start to the weekend then for Andre Rodriguez. That's at turn 2. So Alex Garcia is down in the pit lane. He could tell us a little bit more about the operations in pit lane at the moment and what the teams are dealing in terms of these situations. What can you tell us, Alex?
Well, Jake, of course, you've seen where the off took place. So, of course, the trackside helpers are going to take care of the car, I think, pretty swiftly. But, yeah, more than anything, we've been hearing from some of the teams. And what they're concerned, which is natural, is that, of course, with the safety car presence, which normally wouldn't be expecting it, even though we know that there's a possibility, is that the tire temperatures are going to go down a little bit as you reduce the pace a little bit. And, of course, drivers will have to make sure that the temperatures do not drop too much, so as to not upset the tires when they restart the race. But you also don't want to use the tires too much now, because then you'll get to the end of the race with less life in them than your rivals. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. It's tricky. It's like walking on a tightrope. So interesting few laps, even though it may not look like it is very interesting when we are behind the safety car. But I can guarantee that drivers will be very busy to keep those tires in the right window.
Yes, I agree with you, Alex. On the restart, it's going to be critical. Thanks for keeping us up to date. We'll let you catch up and update the Spanish language broadcast with the same information. Thank you. So we're just seeing a replay then of Andre Rodriguez losing the back end of the Monlau and now being recovered by the rescue teams. What a shame. What a shame for Andre Rodriguez, who really wanted to open his account this weekend in a positive light, but these are not easy cars to get used to. And so a very difficult situation for the contenders. And we've already talked about how difficult it is for certain teams to have their act together in various different scopes of the proceedings. Looks like the safety car's done and dusted already. Just one lap needed as the rescue team were able to move Andre Rodriguez's car very quickly. So we're going to go restarting very soon indeed. Are we going to drop down the hill and accelerate? I think we are. I think we've already decided to drop the hammer. So the race leader, Thomas Strauven, oh no, he's decided to concertina them. So again, we could see another dramatic restart like we did in Euro Cup 3. But certainly for Thomas Strauven, this is going to be all about timing it. You want to back the field up just enough and then drop the hammer. Now he's gone for it. And that'll do, because now Brashrovsky is going to be right there to hunt him down as they come up over the top of the crest. But Eichmanns is going to be attacking him. So too, watch out for Kota and Lammers in the two MPs as we go green, 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 green here at Portimao. And there's already a big swarm over across to the pit lane to try and stomp up the attack. Eichmanns is going to try and go right around the outside of Brashrovsky, and he'll get there. What about Lammers going wheel to wheel with Kota? Can he hold that in the far side? He's used a bit of curb, but Lammers has got the tenacity. Surely he can finish that round the outside. Kota's trying to get on the inside line for Brashrovsky, but Lammers holds his nerve on the outside line, and they bang wheels, Lammers and Kota, as they go side by side through the left-hander, up on the top of the crest. Now they'll wait till they get to the peak of that particular part of the course. Who's ahead? Is it going to be Lammers? He's not. He's had to concede. Oh, and off the road! Brashrovsky has gone straight on! Brashrovsky's gone straight on at the foot of the turn. I wonder if he's had a problem with the brakes. But yeah, Brashrovsky loses the car completely and goes straight on. Well, that could be another safety car, and that's the championship contender, Jan Brashrovsky. There he is, out of the race. Disaster. Oh my goodness, now Lammers all over the back of Juan Kota to try and make the overtaking move to get up into what is going to be third position. This is all going beautifully for Lammers. The Belgians are having a great time up front, but now Juan Kota is desperately trying to keep back our man from the Netherlands, René Lammers. His teammate is right behind him, Renault Franco. He's going to try and go the long way round. Oh, it's going to be a couple of Flying Dutchmen going wheel to wheel on the end of the sector. Still a big pressure cooker as the drivers are continuing to try and make good work of this. The Austrian Niklas Schaufler is in the mix there as well for the Red Bull youngsters. And so too is the other Red Bull youngster, Christophe Gali for Drivex. But it's absolute devastation for Jan Brashrovsky, and I don't see a safety car being called. I think he's gone off the road far enough that we don't need one. Here comes René Lammers, side by side with Juan Kota. Can he get it done round the outside? Yes, he can. He's going to get there as Kota slides through. Oh, contact! Lammers has gone around! Lammers and Kota off the racetrack together. That's two championship contenders now gone at Portimao. First Brashrovsky, and then René Lammers. Juan Kota collides with his teammate René Lammers, and it's all gone chaos here at Portimao. Two of the three championship contenders, René Lammers bitterly gets rid of the front wing section from the underside of his car, throws it to the rafters in rage and frustration. Oh my goodness, safety car is called again as two of the three championship contenders are thrown out. And René Lammers strides away in bitter rage and frustration. So first Brashrovsky, and now René Lammers as Juan Kota waits to get out of his car, and the emotion is too much for him. He huddles over the halo. I can't believe we've taken each other out. Now he's got to walk back to the MP garage and have that conversation with the team. René Lammers has already got his helmet and his hands device off. He doesn't want to have anything to do with his teammate right now as Juan Kota charges away. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. The most dramatic race of the F4 Spanish Championship so far. First, Jan Brashrovsky outbrakes himself or loses the brakes or whatever it was that put him out of the race. And now René Lammers collides with his teammate Juan Kota. The F4 Spanish Championship 2025 just went nuclear. Here it is again, look. Both drivers go over the same bit of racetrack. They lock wheels, that's all it was. Racing incident, but neither driver is going to see it as a racing incident. That's the big problem. Juan Cota is going to say, well, Rene, look, you can't go side by side and keep it together like that in turn one. You could have backed out of that. Rene Lammers will say, I was far enough ahead of you, Juan. It's up to you to back out of it. And they are both going to see that the other has taken them out of the race. Well, devastating. It doesn't get much more dramatic than that in the F4 Spanish Championship. Who would have thought that it would go as dramatic as that? So now, Thomas Strauven is absolutely laughing all the way to the bank here because his two main rivals in the championship, Rene Lammers and Jan Pestrovsky, will not score. So if he picks up 25 points, that's going to put him on 124 points, 20 clear of Rene Lammers, and get this, 34 clear of Jan Pestrovsky. He won't be caught in the championship fight until tomorrow afternoon. So for Thomas Strauven, the Belgian, that is an absolute fairy tale. He couldn't have asked for better. Both Pestrovsky and Lammers out. When you've got three very evenly matched drivers fighting for the championship, there's always going to be some fireworks, but I don't think Juan Cota sat there on the back of the pinion waiting for the marshal to give him a lift back to the pits, was ever expecting that he would lock swords with his teammate and it would all go fisticuffs. My goodness me, that couldn't have been any more dramatic if you'd asked it to be. Well, what has this done in terms of the order? Because that's the big question now. Because, of course, we no longer have the order that we thought we had. Strauven, Eichmanns, and now Franco is in third position. Schaufler and El Fagali, the two Red Bull youngsters, are next. Then Petrovic, Tai, Canthan, Montero, and the final point scoring position looks like it's going to go the way of Matthias Reiber at the moment. So, a fantastic opportunity then for the Slovakian. 11th place for Gino Trapper, ahead of Migi Costa, Alfio Spina, Hudson Schwartz and Santino Panetta. Then Lorenzo Campos, the Angolan. But this is just heartbreaking to watch for Juan Cota fans, who has been flying the flag for Spain this year. Especially now that Nacho Tunion is back in 22nd place, and the other Spaniard in the grid, Edu Robinson, has elevated himself up into Euro Cup 3 for this weekend. But Juan Cota, the Spanish interest in the F4 Spanish Championship up at the front end of the field, is out, along with the man he's accidentally ended up running into, Rene Lammers, the Dutchman. DNFs are costly in the F4 Spanish Championship. One DNF can ruin your championship, and Rene Lammers had just figured out how to win legally, having had 3 race wins taken off him, 2 at Aragon and 1 at Nevada. And now all of a sudden, he's ended up out of the race. A DNF now is a nightmare. Thomas Strauven can pick up 25 points if he stays in first place ahead of Eichmanns and pull 24 points clear. So this is going to be a very interesting scenario now in terms of the championship fight with Pestrovsky out. That's him scoring points, not scoring points again, sorry, for the second time this year. Rene Lammers will not score points for the first time this year. And Thomas Strauven, who's also had a non-points finish, essentially. That essentially means over the course of the season now, it's pretty much even between the 3 title protagonists because they've now all had at least 1 non-score. For Pestrovsky, he's now had 2. And what about the rest of the drivers in the fray? Well, this really benefits Renault Franco. He can elevate himself now ahead of Hudson Schwartz. He will extend, of course, from Juan Cota, but Cota could lose out big time here. Eichmanns, Montero and Petrovic all look like they could score big. So that collision between championship leader Rene Lammers and the Spanish hopeful Juan Cota is about as miserable a moment in this championship fight for the MP Motorsport team as it is possible to get. The recovery crew moving Juan Cota's car from the scene. And of course, this one is a very tricky one for the team because that really hampers their point scoring potential in this race. Franco is 3rd behind Ian Eichmanns. Schaufler is 4th. And that's it. They had about 5 cars in the points at one stage. Now they've only got 3. Admittedly, they're in second, third, and fourth. But that is not the way they wanted it to go. Can Eichmanns now do something on the restart? The advantage he's got is, okay, the tyres were starting to go a little bit before the original safety car period, but now they've spent a long time behind the safety car. He doesn't have to work the tyres for quite as long as he would have done under green flag. If Eichmanns can get a restart, he has the fastest lap of anyone in the whole race now, by the way. Ian Eichmanns on a 1:46.748. That's 0.2 of a second quicker than Strauven's best. If he can keep this going and get a decent restart over Strauven, Eichmanns could end up becoming the first rookie winner overall this year. Because so far, we've had 3 different race winners over the course of the season. Strauven won the opener and has yet to win since then. Then Jan Bastrovsky was handed 3 victories in a row. René Lammers won all of them on the road, but Bastrovsky was then handed them post-race. Then René Lammers has won the last 2 in a row at Nevada. So Thomas Strauven is on course for win number 2, unless Ian Eichmanns, who has a second and a third to his name, and then 4 other non-points finishes, Ian Eichmanns could be the man to do the dirty on the championship rivals here. 2 of them are already out, as we know. But if the third one is going to be vanquished, it could happen in the biggest possible way. What a fantastic race battle this is going to give us on the restart. Such a disastrous moment then in the race between René Lammers and Juan Cota. But now we're going to restart. Here we go. Safety car in this lap. It's all going to come down to the Belgian war. Strauven and Eichmanns. Now, Ian Eichmanns is no stranger to racing against his countrymen in a bitter brawl in an international competition. When he was fighting for the IAMA Euro Series title a few seasons ago, he was locking swords with another top-rated Belgian, Eddie Goldstein. That ended up in disaster at Genk. Now here at Portimao, he's got a chance to go after another countryman, Thomas Strauven, who is much quicker on the uptake of the restart, but Eichmanns has gone with him, so Franco's going to be left to squabble with the Red Bull Juniors as we go green, 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 green here at Portimao. Look for Petrovic on the restart. He's looking so good with Alpha Gali, but so too is Schaeffler, going wheel to wheel with Franco. Franco almost puts him in the pit wall, and it's not enough to hold him back. The Austrians got him. Meanwhile, Eichmanns has been careful through turn 1. He's also been very aggressive through 2. He can now run right round the outside of Strauven and set him up for a charge down to 5. Eichmanns going for the lead as Alpha Gali goes wheel to wheel for 5th position and loses out to Petrovic and Nathan Ty. Nathan Ty is picking him off one at a time here. Down to the braking zone, and Eichmanns draws level with Strauven, but he can't quite get round the outside of him at the hairpin. Schaeffler going well in 3rd. Here comes Franco, back for more. And Nathan Ty is in P5. He's got ahead of Petrovic as well. Excellent from Nathan Ty as Alpha Gali drops to 8th behind the American Vivek Canthan. Then Noah Montero 9th. Reiber, Trapper, Costa, Spina, Schwartz, Panetta and Campos. What a dramatic start to this restart. But it's going beautifully for Strauven and Eichmanns. They are having a great race battle. Eichmanns isn't done with this yet. There's 4 minutes left, and he's still got tyres enough underneath him that can push him onto the tail of his countryman. 3rd place for Schwarzflat. Schaeffler looking good. The KCL MP in Red Bull colours. Nicholas Schaeffler putting the 2 men up front under some pressure. So let's see if things continue on. Running to the far side of the course. Up through the far side of the course, back up the crest. It's going to be an interesting one. Let's see if we're going to get a big charge forward from Eichmanns. In the slipstream, he can do a lot of work. They don't get pushed to pass like they do in Eurocup 3, but the momentum of the slipstream is unbelievable. Here comes Alpha Gali, dueling with Montero and Canthan. Canthan is going to get in behind his teammate Montero. They almost bang wheels and through to the inside line. There is going to be a spin in turn 1, is there? How did they avoid that? Great recovery from Vivek Canthan. He's going to have to let Montero go, isn't he? Round the far side. But the back end was sliding there for Canthan. I thought that was going to be a repeat of what we saw between Cota and Lammers. But that was so nearly a big accident. Vivek Canthan just about threw the anchor over the side of the ship to slow the car down. Now Ian Eichmanns doing a lot of hard work in behind Thomas Strauven again. So let's see if we get a little bit more from Ian Eichmans in this continuation. Franco looks like he's settled the car in a bit behind Nicholas Schaufler as well. And Nathan Ty, what a recovery drive from the British driver. 4th in the opening race of the season. Hasn't been as high as this since then. But this is a great run from the Rodin driver. And the British driver looking further forward. Now, car number 5, incident in turn 8 is going to be investigated after the race. That is Miguel Costa. So something's happened there to the Brazilian. Santino Panetta, by the way, has got ahead of Alfio Spina. So the Argentine fans will enjoy that stat. Strauven and Eichmans, the 2 Belgian protagonists in this race, are 1 and 2, with the Austrian Nicolas Schaufler and the Dutchman Renaud Franco giving chase. Eichmans goes very wide out of the slow hairpin at the top of the crest. Now they'll drop through at this part of the hairpin. Back on terms again. Up over the crest, and it looks to me as though Strauven may have just picked up enough. It's half a second at the line, but Eichmans is going to gain a lot again in the slipstream. Great work from Schaufler to fend off from Franco. There's still a little bit of swarming further back. I think that's Reiber and Trapper having a good battle for the final point. Trapper trying to come in round the far side. Good defensive tactics, though, from the man in P10. Matas Reiber, the Slovakian, really wants to keep Gino Trapper of Argentina behind him. Isn't it amazing? You wait ages for a decent Argentine at the top level of the sport, namely Franco Colapinto, and then all of a sudden there's a whole fleet of them ready to join, because we've got Monarca, Trapper and Bastarica all in at F4 Spanish Championship this year, along with Santino Panetta. So the Argentine fraternity really starting to bring a lot more drivers into the fray. More incidents to be investigated after the race. The 37 and the 41. So that is Fiorentino and Suslov, and they've both come into the pits for damage. So clearly that was a fairly nasty incident for them. And both cars are now out of the running for the points. So let's see if we're going to get a little bit more spice in this battle for the points, because the 48 Gino Trapper has now got the American right up his trumpet. Hudson Schwartz trying to get his move into the points. And if Matas Reiber is going to keep that car wide enough, he could get quite a few more drivers joining in. Alfio Spina and Santino Panetta both fancy their chances. The Thibaut Courtois Racing teammates. Schwartz tried to get his move there on Gino Trapper. Up the top of the hill. Not going to happen. Gino Trapper wasn't born yesterday. Is that all you've got, Hudson? Come on, try a real overtake. As they work their way to the hairpin on the far side. Matas Reiber has left them to it as we go into the final lap. Don't worry, boys. I'll race for the points. You just fight for the scraps. So as they go down the straight, looks as though Alfio Spina and Santino Panetta could get a move or two. Meanwhile, Nathan Ty trying to shake off Petrovic. Alfagali's got pressure from Canthan and Montero. And here comes the cavalry down the straight and over the line. And this is the Monlau and Rodin squabble of Campos, Kyohuli and Francisco Monarca. That's Nacho Tunion in the mix there as well for the Technicar squad. But the last couple of points paying positions are still up for grabs. Everybody just trying to keep it nice and serene there on the far side. Down the back straight, looks like there was a little bit of a duel there between Nathan Ty and Andrei Petrovic. But this man, Matas Reiber, looks like he's done enough to hold the final point. So on the final lap, despite the onslaught from Ian Eichmans, it looks to me as though Thomas Strauven has been able to keep his nerve and keep it together. It's not been easy, and it's certainly been full of difficulty. But up in front, the Belgian Thomas Strauven is going to take a significant victory in this year's title fight when his 2 main rivals, Jan Pasrovsky of Poland and René Lammers of the Netherlands, are both on the sidelines. It couldn't be better for the Belgian. But now it's suddenly going to be all about the Belgian. Thomas Strauven, he had his countrymen to give him pressure to the flag, but it won't be enough to unsettle him as we watch this 5th place battle to its last dying embers. Petrovic runs wide. El Fagali, the Lebanese driver, could find the move on the inside line as they race to the line, but up in front, it's going to be Thomas Strauven for Griffin Corr. He'll take what is the 2nd and most important victory of his campaign this year. Thomas Strauven takes the victory up front. Ian Eichmans in 2nd place. Renaud Franco is going to be 3rd, ahead of Nathan Ty and Andrei Petrovic. And that is because there's been a penalty handed, I think, post-race to Nicholas Schaufler. Yes, indeed. He's been handed a time penalty. So Nicholas Schaufler crossed the line in 3rd, but he's had a 5-second penalty added to his race time, and that drops him to 9th behind Canthan and Montero. Bitter disappointment for Nicolas Schaufler. He doesn't win the rookie race. He doesn't get the 3rd overall he wanted. But as Jack Monaghan points out on the stream, it's time for some chips with mayonnaise and waffles as the Belgians can celebrate with Fiodore 1 and 2. Now, we're going to see a replay of the checkered flag. There is Thomas Strauben coming through at the pit wall. Excellent work all the way to the line. And look at that photo finish further back between El Faghali and Canthan. Absolutely amazing. Just 17 thousandths of a second between El Faghali and Canthan at the flag. And it was Canthan who just held on. El Faghali, I should say, who just held on from Canthan. Montero is 8th. Schaufler is demoted to 9th. And then in 10th position, the Slovakian, Matas Raiba. Well, a fascinating end to a truly sensational race. It promotes Renault Franco to 3rd, and to 4th comes Nathan Ty, the Englishman, 1 place off the podium. So the rookie podium this time is going to be Ian Eichmans, Chris El Faghali and Vivek Canthan. Very exciting stuff then, all the way to the victory. But Thomas Strauben is the one that is victorious. What a dramatic, sensational, nail-biting opening race of the weekend in the F4 Spanish Championship. We'll have to figure out what happened to Jan Bastrovsky and also whose version of events makes the most sense between René Lammers and Juan Cota. Alex Garcia is going to have a very busy gap between races. The second race, fortunately, of the F4 Spanish Championship is tomorrow morning, so he's got plenty of time to go down to Campos and MP to figure out what was what. There is your rookie winner, Ian Eichmans, 2nd overall. Jointly his best result of the season. A first podium of the year for Renault Franco in 3rd position. But it's 99 at the top spot. Thomas Strauben has done it again in fantastic style. A rather disappointed Nicolas Schaufler is looking for the podium and figuring out why he can't get there. He goes past it as Chris El Faghali gets out of his car for the rookie podium. But Thomas Strauben takes his 2nd win of the season, and he is the new championship leader. René Lammers scoring no points, Jan Bastrovsky scoring no points. Thomas Strauben scores 27 today, 2 for the pole position, 2 for the race victory. He doesn't get the fastest lap point. That went to Jan Bastrovsky. So a fantastic run from the Belgian. 2 victories so far this year, 2 second places and 2 third places with a 1 non-score. Lammers has had 2 wins and 3 second places with a 6th and a non-score. And Jan Bastrovsky has had 3 wins, all handed to him in the post-race scrutineering. A 3rd and a 5th, a 23rd, and then a non-finish. This championship fight is wild and kicking. The 2 Belgians celebrate with each other. A sportsmanlike handshake between Thomas Strauben and Ian Eichmans, who gets to celebrate being 2nd place and the top MP driver in the first race of the weekend. They go to the scales to weigh, but a 3rd position from Renault Franco. Okay, you can say that maybe it was handed to him, but he came to fight in the top 5 right from the outset. Thomas Strauben, that'll be a sense of relief for him to start the 3rd weekend of the year in winning style from pole position. The championship fight is game on, and the Belgian is the championship leader. Sort your hair out, Tom. Come on, give him some credit. Half an hour plus the final lap, fighting for the victory when he's got his countrymen on his tail the whole way. I think you can give him a little bit of grace. So Thomas Strauben finishes off the race-winning pictures in what has been a sensational race battle. A fantastic victory. And we needed that as a championship fight. We needed Thomas Strauben to get a victory there, to thwart some of the battles from René Lammers in this race. But with René Lammers not scoring and Jan Bastrovsky not scoring, it couldn't be more dramatic if we tried. Well, Thomas Strauben looks like he's going to make his way to the scales. Hopefully Alex Garcia will get a chance to have a word with him as well before the end. We will try and get clarification as to what Nicolas Schaufler was penalised for. It was a 5-second penalty, so I'm going to guess, this is only a guess, so don't take this as fact, but I'm going to guess that it might have been for track limits related infringement, because I didn't see Nicolas hit anybody. He certainly didn't push anybody around, so I would guess that the 5-second penalty could be for a track limit infringement. We certainly didn't see anything on race control to suggest that he was going to get a fairly stringent penalty for that. Let's have a look and see if there's anything on the timing screen. I can't see anything, but Alex Garcia has found our race winner, Thomas Strauben.
Exactly, I have found our race winner, Thomas Strauben, just as Thomas has found the race win. That was pretty nice to watch from the outside. I can imagine from the inside it must have been even better.
Yeah, it was a very hard race. Struggling a lot with the temp, with the heat, because the tires get overheated quite easily. So yeah, we had to manage that a lot. But yeah, I think we managed it quite well, and for sure at the end our pace was very strong. So yeah, I think we maximized everything we could, and yeah.
A new championship leader as well. Does that feel good?
Yeah, I think I had a difficult weekend in Navarra, so it feels great to have now the win again, and yeah, we'll see what we can do tomorrow.
And some of the rookie drivers, including your friend and countryman Ian, are giving you a hard time sometimes. The end of the race was pretty intense after the safety car. Do you think the rookies are going to keep pushing hard during the season, or do you feel more or less relaxed in regards to that?
Well, I think of course they're improving a lot, but yeah, we'll see what they're gonna do in the few next months. But yeah, I think they're improving quite a lot. So yeah, I think we need to look out for them.
Okay, Thomas, time to enjoy your win. Rest well, and more tomorrow. Good luck.
Thank you.
So that was Thomas Strauben, our race winner today, and he seemed pretty chill. This is probably the new school of racing drivers who take after the likes of Oscar Piastri or Alex Palou, who have been dominating or leading their own series and showing that to be a good racing driver, to be a great racing driver, you don't need to be hot-headed. On the contrary, being calm and collected sometimes seems to be the better approach, and this young man here, Thomas Strauben, seems to be following that very, very well.
Certainly does, Alex. Gracias, mi amigo. We'll be back later on in the weekend for more great F4 Spanish racing. Thank you, Alex. Well, drama. Big, big drama, it has to be said, with René Lammers and Jan Pestrowski out of the race. That is about as dramatic as it can be for the championship. Thomas Strauben picking up the 25 points for the victory. And what a sensational weekend that now gives us. 2 races tomorrow in the F4 Spanish Championship. We'll confirm penalties in official qualification and official clarification of the race results. You'll get the podium images on the F4 Spanish Championship social media. But certainly the headlines from race 1. Cota and Lammers lock horns. The championship leader out. The new championship leader, Thomas Strauben, marches forward. Pestrowski is going to have to give chase tomorrow after his own retirement. But here at Portimao, the F4 Spanish Championship is definitely fever pitch. From Jake Sanson and all of us, we'll see you tomorrow for more great F4 Spanish Championship action. Bye for now.